late night Canes After Dark. I want to give a shout out to the Patreon squad. David, Derek, Florida Trucker, Gregory, J. Love, Kurt, Michelle, Canes Wild, Mike, Maury, You Go Where, and Will. Super duper shout out to the Patreon squad, because without the Patreon squad, it's tough to do some of the things that I've been doing. You know, you see the fancy little bordering that I got done. You know, that's through being able to invest, the Patreon squad investing in me, and me investing in better quality to put on a better show and better, what do they call it? A better look. I'm looking for a different word, but you get what I'm saying. So definitely shout out to you guys. I definitely appreciate you. I want to make that known from the jump. Also, at the bottom, be the first to support the stream and get your voice heard and be on the leaderboard. So if you super chat, the best way to do that is through the Cash App NMD TV, $ NMD TV, or the little cash button by the bottom of the chat. You super chat, you say what you want to be say, you're highlighted, and then also you're put on the leaderboard. Be the first to support the stream, get your voice heard, and be on the super chat leaderboard. So go ahead and do that if you feel so. Never required, but what I do ask, guys, if you're in the stream, hit that like button, because when you hit that like button, that's gonna let the rest of the Canes fans to know, hey, it's Friday night. You know, we all locked up because of what's going on, but hey, NMD TV is talking wild and reckless on the Canes After Dark late night show. So go ahead and hit that like button, and I want to appreciate you guys for doing that. So I'm going to give my different takes about everything, but I do want to let people know this is a call-in show. You know what I'm saying? So hey, if you guys want to call in, go ahead and do so. We're going to get the number on the screen here so I can make sure everybody sees the number. Feel free to call in, and you can just go ahead and give your opinion right off the bat. Normally, I like to go into my spiel, but I think for this type of format that I want to do, especially if I want to do it more consistently, it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to get some participation from the chat, from you guys. So, you know, call in, let your voice be heard, let your opinion be heard, and we definitely can talk about it. We got Turl James in the house. He says, what's up, Canes? How we doing, everybody, in the chat? So 1-479-431-6553. That's the number to call if you want to be on the show. And let's dive right into this. So the breaking news is, bro, Tua, my boy Dorian saying little Tua versus Bama in 2021, bank on it. Tua has hit, Tua's little brother, Taulia Tagovailoa, has hit the transport portal. And this is nothing that is surprising. You know, no one's surprised by this because of what we know about, first of all, what we know about Alabama. Alabama just got one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterbacks, in Bryce Young. They already got Mac Jones. They got Paul Tyson. It was 4 wide receivers. One of them had to go. One of them had to go. And the person that decided to leave was Taulia. So that was no surprise there. And then we all know that once the Miami Dolphins actually went through it and signed Tua, then we knew there was a possibility that Taulia will follow. Remember, we know how this family is. The family moved from Hawaii all the way down to Alabama. From Hawaii all the way to the Alabama. Look, right off the bat, we got our first call. So we're going to get this jumping right now and see what the people got to say. NMD TV making his return. Canes After Dark. I want to make sure we got the volume set up and everything nicely. NMD TV, how we living, how we feeling?
Hey man, it's been a while, man.
You know, I've been behind the scenes working on my craft. JT Sports, I already know who this is. How you doing, brother?
Good man. So I'm glad you brought back Canes After Dark, man, because listen, man, when I was up late night studying for tests and doing homework late, I was watching Canes After Dark. So I mean,
all right, I appreciate that, man, and I'm glad that I know you're a big time supporter of the show. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you calling in tonight. And you actually was the first person to hit me up about Taulia entering the transfer portal. So I'll let you speak on it a little bit. You think he's going to Miami?
Yeah, here's why. So when you look at the Tagovailoa family with Taulia and Tua, when Tua first committed to Alabama, they moved from Hawaii all the way to Alabama, right? Just so they could go ahead and support him. And Taulia also had the CANES high schools for the senior year, so he played his senior year in high school down in Alabama, right? So now Tua Tagovailoa gets drafted by the Miami Dolphins, and the Tagovailoa family believes they can close and stand together. They're one of those people that feel family is everything. So basically, that's why they didn't want to go to Detroit, was because they didn't really want to live in Detroit and things like that. So it was more than just the team. So they got drafted by the Dolphins. Everybody's going to be down there in Miami, right? And like we saw in the past, the family likes to stay together. So it only makes sense for Taulia Tagovailoa to transfer to Miami. Now, he might not transfer to Miami. I mean, he could transfer to that other school down in Miami, FIU, but I mean, let's be honest now. Not going to FIU.
Can I make a case for FIU?
I mean,
I can make a case, right? Because I was thinking. Let me tell you why I would say if anybody wanted to make a case for FIU, one, it's in the location of where they would want to be if the family moved, because there is a report that says as of right now the family has no plans of moving to South Florida. That report was brought out today. But if you were to move and you look at Miami, you look at FIU, where are you going to most likely get more playing time? You know, that you can bank on more time. FIU. Where are you going to and then people look at this. Who would you say is the better coach? Butch or Manny Diaz? Okay.
I mean, I'll say Butch, but I mean.
Okay. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Hold on. Let me finish. Then I'll let you go. So you got the better coach. You're in the proximity, and then you look at the head-to-head matchup. Okay, and then you look up FIU. FIU put a quarterback in the draft this year. When, who was the last Miami quarterback to be drafted? So I'm saying, a lot of people think it's a slam dunk. I don't think it's just a slam dunk. Now, the question is, do you want to go from Alabama to FIU? That would be the question. What would you say to anybody who made that case?
I mean, you can get the same opportunities at Miami. After Derrick King, the quarterback competition is open. Like we see, the coach has already been pushed down the leaderboards for the past couple of years, so I don't see a problem with them keep on trashing my boy again. So I mean, Taulia can come in there after Derrick King starts doing he's playing. He'll probably be going into the NFL draft if it works out right. He already has a little bit of some draft talk about that 6-round range and things like that. So he could improve his draft stock, get drafted. Then Taulia can come in, take over, have some talent. And then FIU, you're not going to get not going to have the talent around you to work with. So let's say draft spot is everything, right? And James Morgan was solid for FIU, but he didn't get drafted that high because his performance at FIU. He got drafted that high because of what he did in the offseason for the East-West.
But I mean, I'm just saying, he got drafted though.
So he had a good combine.
I'm sorry, JT. You're kind of breaking up a little bit. Are you close to your phone? Is your Wi-Fi strong?
You can hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit better. Go ahead and let the people know why James Morgan was drafted. You kind of started breaking up.
James Morgan got drafted, not really much so based on what he did at FIU, because his performance for FIU wasn't all that great, but he had an incredible East-West shrine game. I mean, his whole entire practice was rock solid. He improved his draft stock then. Then he also had a good combine as well. So really, it was the all-season things that really boosted his draft stock more than what he really did at FIU, besides having a great arm and things like that. But I mean, if he never had the East-West shrine game, didn't have the NFL combine, he probably wouldn't have got drafted at all.
Yeah, okay, but we can say ifs.
He wasn't on nobody's draft board.
So we can say ifs, ands, and buts all we want to, but the bottom line is the quarterback was drafted, And that's just the bottom line. So I'm just saying that anybody who says FIU, there's no way, I'm just saying I could see a way. But if I had to choose, I would say he would go to Miami. But the thing is, do we want another quarterback? We have Tyler Van Dyke. We have Nkosi Perry. We have Peyton Machota. I'm asking you in the chat, do you guys want Taulia? If you had a choice, are you giving up the last scholarship for Taulia? And what do you say to that, JT? Do we want, as a fan base, do you want Tua?
Hell no, I want my boy Nkosi Perry to be the starter next year. But I mean, we don't crap on my boy enough. So I mean, I wouldn't see a reason why we want to keep putting him down the Death Star.
Dorian in the chat says Perry might be in trouble next year. If this kid signs with us, the narrative of Tua Tagovailoa starting in the city of Miami would be huge. That would be a buzz, man.
Man, if he signs with Miami, my boy Nkosi Perry is getting out of there, man. He's leaving for sure. It ain't it would just be disrespectful to take another quarterback at this point. I mean, you already done pushed my boy down the depth chart with getting my guy Derek King. Now you bring in Taulia. That means Nkosi Perry either's going to have to change his position or he's going to be a career backup. And I'm pretty sure he's not going to want to put up with that. So, if anything, we could see him transferring to FIU. Well, wouldn't that be interesting? Right down the now, wouldn't that be interesting? We already see Jaron Williams getting interest from Western Kentucky. I forgot what conference they're in, but yeah, we could see Nkosi transferring if we get another quarterback because I don't think he wants to waste his whole entire college career being a backup quarterback. And I don't care what nobody says about transferring for competition and anything like that. Listen, if coaches can switch teams back and forth like what Mel Tucker did, then I got no problem with players transferring to another university for a better situation.
Okay, and then let me throw out this last option for Tua Tagovailoa to transfer. What about him going to UCF? Would you say that would be a good fit?
I don't really know, man, because UCF is already pretty stacked at the quarterback position, and they did have the freshman of the year for and Dylan Gabriel last year filling in for Mackenzie Miller, and then they got Daryl Mack there as well. So I mean, he'll be trying to beat up some tough competition, man. So I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be better going to a team that has more uncertainty at the quarterback position because Dylan Gabriel was actually a lot better than what I thought. And what we initially thought too, because the last time we talked, we talking about some game that he threw like 4 interceptions. So I was really surprised that he won freshman of the year for that conference.
All right. That's my guy JT Sports. Y'all look him up on YouTube, JT Sports. Straight killing the game. He just put out a video about Miami, so y'all go check that out. And JT, I appreciate you calling in, man. Canes After Dark, we back.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you for having me on, man.
All right, my guy. Jump in the chat. All right, guys. That was JT Sports talking about Tua Tagovailoa, him possibly heading to Miami. So when you look at that quarterback position or quarterback haul, we know without a doubt Derek King is our guy. Derek King is the ace boom coon when it comes to who's going to be the starting quarterback next year. And then you want to go and look at the rest of the quarterbacks on the roster. You got a Tate Martell, a Nkosi Perry, a Tyler Van Dyke, a Peyton Machota. So one by one, let me go through these quarterbacks. When you look at Nkosi Perry, this is a guy who we've seen flashes from. You know, we've seen him come back in a game against FIU. We've seen him beat a team like Virginia that was favored to defeat Miami. We've seen him do things like that, but we've also seen him have some bad games. Tyler Van Dyke, strong arm quarterback, brought over from Dan Enos. The little spring practice that we had, people said this guy was putting in work before, during, and after practice. Definitely seems like a guy who could come in and make an impact. As a matter of fact, if you ask a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans, they were all aboard the Tyler Van Dyke train, but then you throw Tua's little brother in it, and y'all jumped off the train real quick. Now, that's just for show. And then you look at Tate Martell, who he's got a fine breezy, but really didn't show out last year, missed some games last year on his own. But I'll tell you this, I think Tate Martell in a Rhett Lashley offense could do some damage. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but him in shotgun, I like that. I understand what Dorian is saying is think about the headlines. And that's only where I see him. You're looking at a 4-star kid who came in, moved from Hawaii to Alabama, put up good numbers, good talent. I seen him he played Arkansas, Western Carolina. He plays similar to his brother, except for he's right-handed. To me, he seems a little bit faster, a little bit more mobile than Tua. I haven't seen enough to say I don't want this kid, or enough to say I do want this kid because of his talent, but he's rated as a 4-star. And we've got to get to the point eventually to where we develop our talent. You know, at one point when I talk to Miami Hurricanes fans and when I talk to the family, we talk about how this is the year to go 10 wins. This is the year to win 11 games. This is the year to win the conference. This is the year to get to the ACC championship game. And then on the other hand, everybody that comes into the transfer portal, we want them on the team. We want him on a team. It's Issiah Walker. We got to go get him. Tua's little brother. We got to go get him. Jared Williams. Who is that? We don't know, but we got to go get him. The receiver from freaking, from Michigan. We got to go get him. If we got to go get everybody who enters the transfer portal, then I ask you the question, are we really a 10-win team? NMD TV, how we living, how we feeling?
Yo, NMD, how's it going, man?
Man, I'm doing good. Who we got on the line?
It's Mr. HD, brother. How's it going?
Man, blessed, never stressed. Always trying to be my best. How you doing, man? I appreciate you how you support the show, man. You always showing love. I want to say I appreciate that,
tonight,
man.
Brother. It's been a boring night, so appreciate you being on, bro.
Oh, no problem, man. I'm gonna try to be more consistent with my live stream. So let's dive right into this, man. What do you think about this Tua little brother situation?
I don't know. Is that just in Twitter talking? They want Tua's little brother?
Yeah, man. I mean, when you look at right now, it's all rumors, and basically the big rumor is, you're putting 2 and 2 together. Tua goes to Miami. The Tua family's pretty tight knit, so is Tua a guy to add to the quarterback room? I mean, Tua's little brother, Taulia.
Yeah, I mean, I do think he'll transfer to a Florida team, but I don't think it'll be Miami. I mean, we already have TVD on the roster, and from what I've heard so far, the coaches are really high on him. So I think we really got a quarterback for the future on our roster.
I agree. And then, I mean, when you look at our, people forget about Pay Machota. And then we also got, I think, Tate with 2 more years, Nkosi with 2 more years. I just don't know where there's room. And you got to think, if we bring him in, somebody else is leaving.
And Perry's a redshirt junior now? Been with 4 years now?
I think he's got 2 more seasons left. He's about to graduate. So he would be able to grad transfer.
Man, I've been team Nkosi since his freshman year, but the way we've coached this kid up, it's been a shame. I mean, this kid could have easily been a 4-year starter for us right now, entering his senior year.
Yeah, I think you look at, several different coordinators and things like that definitely can look at the coaching staff as the reason why. But let's say tomorrow the news is Taulia Perry is a redshirt junior. Thank you, Kane Gang Cartel. Let's say tomorrow the breaking news is Taulia will transfer to Miami. You know, how would you feel about it? What would be your reaction to that news?
I mean, it'd probably be the coaches must really like this kid or must not like one of the quarterbacks we have on our roster. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go for it, but if the coaches did, I mean, I would have to trust them. But the way Rhett Lashley, I mean, I wouldn't bank on Rhett Lashley getting a QB in this class anyway. So I really don't think we need Tua's little brother, to be honest.
Well, and so that brings us to a point that Dorian makes in the chat. He says, you know, the golden rule is take a quarterback a class. And I got to let everybody know, most likely we're not getting Demetrius Davis, the former Virginia Tech commit out of North Shore. We're probably not getting him. We may get Aaron McLaughlin. We already missed out on Garrett Nussmeier. So this may be, if we do get him, this may be our quarterback in this class.
I trust Lashley getting the quarterback. I mean, the way he's recruiting right now and then getting players out of Texas, I think we can get a QB out of Texas. Okay.
All right, my guy, I'm going to jump back on the line here, man. Mr. HD, I appreciate you calling in, brother.
Oh, of course, man. Thank you.
All right, my brother.
Go Canes.
CJ, what's up, brother? I hope you can hear me. This Nightbot thing, I don't know how to fix it, but if you put all caps on, they count that as spamming. So if you could just don't put all caps, because I don't know how to stop this thing. But Kane City Cartel says, I think we're jumping the shark with Tua. I agree, man. I don't think he's coming to Miami. That's just my opinion. I think we may be jumping the gun on him, but we'll see what ends up happening. Now, Kane Gang Cartel Sniper says the smart move is adding Walker. And I couldn't agree more. You know, you look at what's our biggest problem? Offensive line. If you add Walker to this class, basically you're adding him to this recruiting class. And you can look back and say, okay, we added Jalen Rivers and we added Issiah Walker. Come on now. I mean, that's a hell of a class. So I hear the decision's coming pretty quick. It's either Issiah Walker. When you look at that situation, this is a guy who Miami recruited heavy. Miami went after hard. And what ended up happening? He ended up going to the Florida Gators, okay? He enters the transfer portal. Well, from what I've heard, it was the way things have went down. It was Florida State who got in contact with him first. Miami has been in contact with him, and he's expected to make a decision pretty soon. It's a no-brainer to me that we add Issiah Walker. It is a no-brainer. If you talk to some of the guys out of South Florida, I was watching Paul Scoop on the U. Shout out to Paul because he's been putting in great work. And one of the guys from South Florida said he was one of the best offensive line talents that he's ever seen. Now, I don't want to go that deep into it, but we all know he's a talent. You add him, and then you add Jalen Rivers, not to mention the guys that we got in this upcoming class, McLaughlin and Rodriguez, and then you got the young guys from last year who took snaps as starters. And then the most important piece to the puzzle should be Garrett Justice, who we brought in for the development, of the offensive line. That was the main reason we brought him in, because Larry Bluestein, because other people who spoke highly of Garrett Justice says, hey, this is a guy who can develop offensive linemen. And if he lives up to what we think he can, he has a young group of talent to get him. I don't want a lineman from the AAC, Jared Willis, who's coming off an injury, who we're only going to have for a year. Don't want him. Give me the young buck. Big shout out. Paul's in the house right now. Hey, man, I appreciate all the work you've been doing, man. Kansas City Cartel, huge fan, huge supporter of the show. I appreciate you. George Bush, I appreciate you, brother. Patreon member. Thank you for all that you do. Walker, Seymour, Rodriguez, McLaughlin, and Raviel Lordy. The offensive line can be nasty. On paper, it can be nasty if we can develop these guys. And from what we're hearing with the Red Lash, I always like to say what we're hearing because we haven't seen it just yet. We haven't seen it done on the field. So I always like to say what we're hearing. But if we can get this ball out quickly, that's only going to help the development of our offensive linemen. So we could be looking at a point. This is the best case scenario. Better younger talent, a better development of talent, and then an offense that's built around the offensive line not having to do as much. You think about some of the things that the offensive line was asked to do last year. I mean, a slow developing play action. You're asking your tackles, Zion, Clark, you're asking those guys to hold on their blocks for a while. A tight end reverse, you're asking them to hold on for a while. If you're getting the ball out in 3 seconds, that's not asking your tackles to do a lot. The phone lines are open. Feel free to call in, guys. The number is on the screen. I appreciate everybody kicking it with us tonight. Everybody in the live stream talking about Taulia Tagovailoa entering the transfer portal and Issiah Walker Jr. entering the transfer portal. Both of these guys are guys that could end up being Miami Hurricanes. One scholarship left is what they're saying. There's only one scholarship left. Who is it going to be? If Manny Diaz is calling me, ring, ring, Grant, NMD TV, who are we taking? I'm telling him, hey, engage all defenses, bring in everybody we got, and go get Issiah Walker Jr. NMD TV, how we living, how we feeling?
What's good, brother, man?
How we doing, my guy? Kansas City Cartel on the line, man. How you living? How you feeling?
Man, living good under these circumstances. Just living life, bro.
Right.
Waiting on football, man.
I know,
waiting on life and football to get back to normal.
Amen. Amen. I will say at first, I was one of the ones that said I don't think we're gonna have football, but it seems like they're pushing it and like we're gonna have it now.
Yeah, I think they're trying to figure out ways to, figure out. I guess the logistics is the hardest part. We're dealing with a people problem, not a, more than anything else, and we trying to tame this virus or whatever, and at the same time, get people in seats. It's tough. It's a tough way to kind of navigate that. It's something we're not used to, but one way or another, man, I think it'll. I know for a fact it'll give a lot of people something positive, with sports, man. Sports brings everybody together.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Okay, Anthony, I want to touch base on something you said in the chat. You said you feel like people are jumping the shark on this whole Taulia Tagovailoa to Miami situation.
Yeah, I think the kid, I understand what's going on. I understand, as far as the Canes community, it looks good, and everything. But
I haven't been, I haven't seen enough of the kid to say, okay, as far as the 2021 class or forfeiting a scholarship on this kid. I think if he wants to be a Hurricane, I think one way or another, either he walk on or whatnot and compete. But I wouldn't give up a scholarship right now for another quarterback, unless it's a blue chipper coming out of high school that's just basically undeniable. You know what I'm saying? If it's a kid that's maybe top 5, top 10, then I get it. But outside of that, I don't see us giving up a scholarship for this kid.
Let me ask you this: do you think we need a quarterback? I mean, you looking at our quarterback room? Okay, so I
don't. I think talent wise, and as far as UM, our problems was a lot deeper than just quarterback. Quarterback was an issue, but outside of quarterback, we had scheme issues, with the whole Eno situation, and we had just development issues. We had guys not running the right routes. We had guys not knowing the playbook. We had offensive linemen just not developed and not ready. So I think we have talent. We have the talent at quarterback, especially with, Matoka and PVD, Perry, you know what I'm saying, to take over, after King finishes out his last year. We have the talent to at least skip this class at quarterback. I know Lashley's going to do what Lashley needs to do as far as targeting his style of QBs, but I know for a fact, man, we got a long way to go. As far as fixing a problem. We still got a young offensive line. We got some really good recruits coming in next cycle. But we're still going to be young, and we're going to have a little experience with Zion and Clark and those guys. But I think we need to get stronger at O-line, better at O-line before we get another quarterback right now.
So I'm guessing you would want to get Issiah Walker Jr. They say we only got one scholarship left. The reason I say they say that is because I'm hearing that you always can work around that. But as of right now, one scholarship left. You can give it to quarterback or offensive lineman. You're going offensive lineman?
I'm going O-lineman. It's got to be a kid that you need. A kid that you need that can basically come in, get the playbook and make an immediate impact. Like I said, we scholarships are precious. You know what I'm saying? And we need blue chips. And this kid, Issiah Walker, is a blue chip. I mean, he could have went to any school he wanted to. You know what I'm saying? So, I think I would take him over Tua right now. So, as far as kicking the tires on Tua, Tua, no matter where he goes, he's going to get a shot based on his name and the fact that he's coming from Alabama.
Right.
But we have a quarterback room, yeah. We got a quarterback room. With the right scheme, if we see a wide open spread style offense that we've been asking for and begging for, and we can plug and play a guy like Perry or a guy like Van Dyke or whoever, then it may not be a quarterback issue that we've been having. It could have been just a schematic and developmental issue. So, like I said, you only get one. Those transfers are hit or miss. Even with King, we know what King can do, but King wasn't playing in the ACC, and I'm not saying it like the ACC is the top of the mountain, but hell, the ACC is always in the national championship game. So, we can't jump the shark on King either. We know he's dynamic, but come on, So we don't know. Some transfers hit, some transfers miss. But if I were to take a transfer, I would take a highly touted guy, that damn near all the schools were trying to get, especially at O-line.
Let me ask you this.
And that's rare to say. He's a hometown kid too, and that could be a good thing.
Do you think Miami's starting to rely too much on the transfer portal?
I think they're just trying to exploit it to their benefit. And I think why not? Because I think other schools would do it too. Not just rely on it, but exploit it if you can. I mean, LSU benefited from it. Quite a few teams. Ohio State benefited from it. Those are teams that were right there in the end of last season. So, not saying that they took as many kids as we've taken out the portal, but it's a system set to kind of like, hey, even the playing field, if you will, giving kids another home. Why not exploit it if all these other schools are doing it?
You're right. I would rebuttal back to that and say, when people say about the portal, they say, well, look what LSU did. Look what LSU did. Look what Ohio State. But you gotta look at the talent around those guys as well. To me, I feel like we're trying to get each and everybody that hits the portal. Anybody who hits the portal, and it maybe not be the coaches, but it's the fan base.
It's more of the fan base.
It's all we need.
The coaches, they know what they're doing, and I think, like I say, if you look at the transfer portal, a lot of people look at it as kind of like that supplemental draft where you can get guys in certain positions where you may need a guy here to fill. You may be short, you may be short at tackle. You may be short on the D-line. You may be short a few guys. You want to get some guys in and see what they could do. And it wasn't as high profile until recently. So now that it's so high profile, people are looking like, hey, look at these guys, look at all these guys you can get out of these schools that were number one national recruits and this and that, but we see what it can do. You got Tate Martell. You got the miss. You got guys that are hit and miss. So every team that gets a transfer, they're not. That doesn't mean they're going to automatically improve their team. But at the same time, if it's a system and everybody else is doing it, and if you got needs or if you got positions where you might want to make that room better or get guys that can help your team, by all means do it. Just be smart about it and don't rely on it to the point of losing out, not losing out, but damaging your recruiting cycles because you're cutting short recruits. You keep relying on these graduate transfers. Like, one thing about the transfer portal, it depends on how you're looking at it. If you're looking at graduate transfers that, to fill a spot, that's how it used to. That's what it used to be really exploited for. Now you're getting guys that, you got two blue chippers that's in the game, like Kelly Bryant and what's the pretty boy name?
Trevor Lawrence.
Sunshine.
Trevor
Lawrence. And hey, you got two guys, they, near the same, you got a guy coming in, and then you got a guy who's been there. He's capable. Kelly Bryant was very capable, but they got to make a decision. So, Kelly Bryant say, hey, I'll take my talents elsewhere. Why not kick the tires on Kelly Bryant? We've seen what he did at Clemson. So it's kind of one of those things. If you can make your room better, if you can stock up on some of these kids that basically got some kind of a experience and got some skill set that you need in your room, exploit it. You never know.
All right, let me take a look here at the chat here. The Truth says, why is he leaving Florida? There hasn't been a for sure statement on why Issiah Walker left. There was speculation about him being homesick. He did have a tweet. The tweet says something like, I'm always getting played. I didn't know if that was by a female or about the Gators coaching staff, but he entered the transfer portal, and now everybody thinks it's either going to be Florida State or Miami. John Ireland says, if it comes down to one last scholarship, and I got it, I'm a little biased, but I'm going to get Taulia. That's my guy. And he says Alabama really didn't need a quarterback, but they ended up getting one. And I believe he's speaking with talking about Jalen Hurts, and then they brought in Tua after Jalen Hurts. When breaking down Taulia, he says Taulia's athletic. His awareness is almost like Deshaun Watson. I know that is a stretch, but he showed it behind his bro and Mac Jones. Like I said, I watched Taulia play a little bit against Arkansas. I thought he was, if by athletic ability you mean he can run. I thought he wasn't quick cat like a De'Aaron King, but he definitely can move in the pocket, throw on the run. But that was like one. I watched literally the end of the Arkansas game when they were monkey stomping them. So to me, I just think if it's me, I get Issiah Walker, because look at the last couple years, our Achilles heel has been our offensive line, and then our quarterback play's been bad too. But I think some of that's just been maturity problems. And I'll say this: when you look at the coaching, when you look at our quarterbacks now, and like maybe I'm seeing what I want to see, but I see De'Aaron King grinding every day. He seems like an individual who we won't have the problems that we had last year. Tyler Van Dyke, from what the coaches say, he's coming in early. He's working with the class afterwards. He seems to be a mature individual for his age. Nkosi, I thought if you want to talk about maturity, look at Nkosi last year, because if it was me, I would have acted a fool the way, you got Jared missing practice, getting pulled out of games, but you really didn't hear any of that from Nkosi. So I think now the biggest problem with our quarterback room was the maturity, and I think now we have that. I keep forgetting Tate is still in the room as well. But would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that, and I think it's a benefit having King here, because he's teaching our quarterback how to kind of lead and kind of be a professional. I mean, think about it. Manny and Enos was leaning on Jaron and Nkosi and all those guys to just take the reins, grab it by the horns, and lead. But these guys their jobs were never safe. These guys were never given that green light to the point of, you're our leader. They never had been prepared or seen with their eyes, how to be a leader. Malik Rozier, his last year, they were playing musical chairs with him and Nkosi. So Malik Rozier was just surviving to keep his job. There was no type of professionalism, passing of the torch, no type of readiness, preparedness that went into it that we saw, to where Nkosi could kind of be groomed into that next leadership role. And then he got leapfrogged by Jaron Williams when Enos came in. And Jaron Williams, younger than Nkosi, was just, out there having a blast and getting drunk and stuff. So it's like we need that upperclassman that has those character traits, those professionalism, those work ethics that the younger guys can kind of learn how to be a leader and this and that. And Nkosi, just by basically him just getting older, maturing as a young man, and taking his bumps and bruises early, he basically matured by default. You know what I'm saying? He had there was no other way to go but, mature and take over and say, hey, Jaron's gone, I'm taking this team, this is going to be my team. And whether he's the guy after King leaves or not, it's still good for the room, because we haven't had that. We just had young, talented guys all fighting each other for a spot, but don't know how to be a leader. And let's be real, you can see it in body language, you can see it on the field last season. and the season before that, there was really no, you didn't get that quarterback that, get on his guys, get in his face, that really takes over that offense that you would hope to see. So I think it's important that, if you do get a guy in through the transfer portal, especially any graduate transfers, somebody that has that experience in big games, that has that pedigree of, work ethic, working, because let's be real. De'Aaron King isn't the prototypical quarterback for the next level, but he has to work to be an elite quarterback at this level. So if you see that, if you want to at least be next man up, you got to go ahead and take on that type of personality. So I think it's good. I think Tyler Van Dyke is a mature young man, just from just a different type of background, different type of pedigree, to where he kind of understands, like, okay, in order for me to take the reins or be the guy, I'm going to have to mature early. Nkosi's mature right now. King is mature. I got to make sure I stand out and get in my playbook and work when it's not, when I'm not being watched, and, step my game up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying, man. And I like where we're going with the quarterback room. In my opinion, if we got Taulia, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't get all mad or anything. But if we didn't get him, I wouldn't be mad either. The chat is saying that we should take Tate's scholarship, get Issiah Walker, and get Tua's little brother. Oh my goodness. What do you, oh my good. Listen, are we giving up on Tate already?
We can't just cut a kid and open up his scholarship like that. That don't work like that. These guys are brutal. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't. I needed to see what Tate could do before I jumped on that bandwagon. And I wasn't the biggest Tate guy. But golly, chat, y'all tripping.
They said take that mask. Hey, you got to
y'all
go.
Savage tonight.
It went from Miami Martell to get the hell out of here. Look,
right.
Man.
Oh, one thing about Issiah Walker. I asked around. I got a lot of feedback on him, and there's some things that I won't be able to discuss on this show, publicly. But it's deeper than we think, man. It's not. I was honestly, when I first heard it, and I seen a lot of Hurricane fans, like, oh, does that mean we get him? Do we get him? I was anti getting them because I was like, how does that look with Manny's message of kids who want to be Hurricanes, and he chooses Florida and not Miami?
Okay.
Until I got some feedback that actually made a lot of sense. So I wouldn't put all that on that kid. That kid actually did want to be a Hurricane, and I'll just leave it right there. I'll leave it where it is, but let's not jump on the kid saying he's a head case and this type of stuff. I know it looks that way, and I know it looks like he's flipping and flopping and changing his mind. It's deeper than you think. And I would welcome, now, knowing what I know, I would welcome him with open arms because, number one, he can make an immediate impact on our team. And at the same time, he's the hometown kid that really wanted to be a Hurricane. So that's just from me, but that's as far as I can go with it. But yeah, and that's another reason why I would take him, because if it wasn't for what I know now, I would have said, hey, you chose Florida over us. They gave you the runaround. They did this, they did that. That's on you. You made your decision. But knowing what I know now, it makes sense that why he transferred, and I do believe that he should be given an opportunity to come on down here and give us some of those good years at O-line, if that's where he ends up.
Right, and I think you just hit the head. That's if. I mean, he may end up at Florida State.
Yeah, he may end up at Florida State. I mean, it's no secret. His dad is a Florida State guy, and he was having issues with Willie Taggart. He wasn't a fan of Willie Taggart there, and Willie Taggart's no longer there. So who knows? He may end up at Florida State. It will be a Florida team. I know that for a fact. But he very well could end up at Florida State. And if Miami, let's not get it twisted. If Miami shows interest and the story makes sense to Manny, and they feel like if they feel like the story is good enough for them to give him a shot, to give him the scholarship, then they would show interest. They would give him a scholarship. But as of right now, we haven't said, hey, we're gonna take him. So it's kind of got to go both ways. There are talks. And we won't know until, based on what the conversations back and forth between them happens and work out things with the NCAA on, what can be done. Then we go from there. But I think right now the kid wants to play and he wants to compete. That was my issue. I was like, oh, he must don't want to compete. Something's going down out there. He didn't get what he wanted. And, he's pulling one of those. No, it wasn't that. It was something different. So, we'll see what happens. No matter where he ends up, hometown kid, I hope he does well. But if we did have to give that scholarship, I would give it to the kid. I would give it to Walker because I do think that he can come in and give us 3 to 4 years of solid play out the gate. A good offseason of Philly's program and getting development from Garen Justice, I'll take my chances with that any day.
All right, guys. We got Anthony the Insider on the line. Do me a favor, guys, if you could, about 50 in the chat. Let's get up to 30 likes for your boy. Hit that like button, letting everybody know that we're live tonight, Canes After Dark. I appreciate you kicking it with me. Shout out to Adam. Shout out to Cynthia, Mr. HD John. The last couple comments that came in. We're talking Issiah Walker, Taulia Tagovailoa, both in the transfer portal. A chance that one, maybe both could end up being Miami Hurricanes. We don't know how it's going to play out. But Adam comes in and says he thinks this is how it plays out when you look at the quarterback position. And that was some great insight on Issiah Walker. I think, and honestly, I have heard a couple people say, well, he went to Florida, I don't want him. But I think 90% of people have said, let's get this boy in the Miami Hurricanes uniform. My biggest thing is let's put him with Jalen Rivers, and then we may be watching a offensive line being our strength. And if we can get that, then bam. So, but Adam says this is how he sees it plays out. De'Aaron King, 2020, Nkosi Perry, 2001, and Van Dyke, 2022 as the starting quarterbacks. But, I keep talking about, and I always think when it comes to decisions being made, I always think, besides the logical, do we need this player or does this happen? I always feel like there's always more that goes into decisions being made. So, for instance, Dorian brought this up earlier. Having two brothers, one playing for Miami, one playing for the Dolphins, one playing for the Canes. Boy, what a storyline that could be. And then you look at, well, hey, Alabama versus Tua's little brother. What a storyline that could be. So, I mean, those are just some things I look at when I always, and maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist or something like that, but I always feel like there's more that goes into making these decisions than just, okay, do we need a quarterback or do we not need a quarterback? Because if that was the decision, I don't think this is even a topic.
What I would say is this. You know, headlines is cool. We tried that with Tate Martell.
Oh, hey man, listen, man, y'all gotta stop
cool.
with the Tate slander.
I think I get where you're going, and it would make sense. It would be a cool storyline, but Manny's in it for UM and winning, and winning now and for the future. So if let's just say, because that don't mean Tua's going to see the field this year, next year. We don't know when he's going to see the field. So let's just say that storyline. Let's use that storyline. When are we going to see little brother? Are we going to, for the sake of headlines, are we going to, leapfrog him above Perry 21 for the Alabama game for the sake of headlines, or is he going to have to compete and beat out Perry to get in that game? And then what's going to happen? So we don't know. So it's like, I get it. It makes sense. It's cool, especially down here in Miami. It's something to get excited about. But I don't think they're playing those games in the war rooms at UM. They're talking to Lashley, and Lashley's like, listen, okay, let me watch this kid. Let me. I'm sure Lashley probably talked to the kid by now. I wouldn't doubt it. He's probably talked to the kid by now. Who knows? So we don't know. But at the same time, it's going to be based on production and winning. Can he give us at least 2 years of quality football? We don't know. So it's on the coaches most of all, but at the same time, I think the lights and the excitement and all that stuff, we tried that. It wasn't the same dynamic, big brother, little brother, pro, college, and this and that. We probably ain't playing Ohio State for a long time, but I'm just saying, like, we tried that as far as, like, getting that splash transfer. We tried that, and I'm not for the big headlines if it ain't winning. You know what I'm saying? So I get you, but I don't think they're looking at it that way.
Okay. All right. I like it. We're gonna go ahead and start to wrap up the show. Kansas City Cartel, I do want to say this. A lot of people are saying that Miami's the favorite to land this quarterback. That's something that we're definitely going to keep our eyes out on. But I'll tell you this, and this is what I want to kind of end the show with. De'Aaron King, Nkosi Perry, Tyler Van Dyke, Peyton Machota, and Tate Martell. If Taulia comes, he would have to sit out a season. But to me, that's a crowded football room. And when you bring one in, most of the time, one leaves. So who's leaving?
Hey, if I know Nkosi Perry like I know Nkosi Perry, he's going down on his shield. He ain't leaving.
Okay,
and I know for a fact, Tyler Van Dyke ain't leaving. So 9 times out of 10, maybe Peyton Matocha, who knows? But it's going to be interesting, and I do believe it could still work with that many in the quarterback room because there's still room. If he forfeits a year via the NCAA, there's still room for him. But I think he, of all people, since his brother's down here, his family's probably going to end up down here. Who knows? He could probably just kind of like, we could look at him as like our 2021 commit, and he can kind of, learn the offense or whatever, compete next season, probably be right behind. He probably move up ahead of Matocha. Probably move up ahead of Van Dyke. Who knows? Based on what Lashley wants. Lashley wants a quarterback. His quarterback's going to do all the thinking. Nobody else is going to do no thinking. You're going to have your pre-read. If you're smart enough to do a pre-read, then you're going to be smart enough to play quarterback for him. You know what I'm saying? So if the kid's smart like his big brother, who knows? But Nkosi ain't going nowhere.
Hey, I agree with
he
that.
He a Miami boy. Not a Miami boy, but he a Florida boy. He ain't going nowhere.
All right, man. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's kicking it with me, who kicked it with us tonight. Canes After Dark, live streaming, guys. And have your notifications on because we know YouTube ain't sending them out. I'll try to post on Twitter and on the community tab when I'm going live. But you can be expecting me to go live probably 5 times a week, late at night, around this time, where everybody can just lay back, kick it, do what we do, where we can get all the information in during the day and talk about it at night. But this is something that we're definitely going to be talking about. And I predict either, this weekend, maybe Issiah Walker makes a decision and we'll be talking about it. Shout out to everybody that came into the chat. Shout out to JT and Kansas City Cartel for calling in. And definitely shout out to the Patreon squad.